lot of stuff has been going down over the last 2 weeks since we last spoke. I know, last when we chatted, it was I was telling you guys a bunch of stuff was lined up, and we're like this week has actually been we launched like 2 new features. I'll go through them like one by one, but super exciting times. I hope everyone is having a good start to their Friday, or if you're winding down, then I hope this is the last call that you'll join to listen in on some exciting developments for the Tapio and Taiga project. So let's start with ambassador contributions. Again, I think the usual suspects have been really lifting a lot of weights for us to get a lot of our content as well as design work out. Big shout out to Cho, No Risk, No Fun, Prostoriana, Charles Zero, Caesar, Nice Guy, and Zintonic. So again, right, a great group of ambassadors that we have. I actually saw some new names here compared to 2 weeks ago. So definitely a good sign. And again, right, we are constantly looking for help. As you guys can tell, the community is still young and fragile. That's why there's only 15 of you here, but that's okay. I always, share with our team that we much rather have a close, a tight group of people rather than, have a bunch of guys that can't really support or don't really understand what we're building. So it's a good start. And again, thank you very much to all of our ambassadors just putting in the work. We appreciate your effort. So moving on, as always, we are looking for new talent, new capabilities to join our ambassador program. Answer actually helped us put together a very nice infographic just to describe the Tapio and Taiga ambassador program. It doesn't necessarily have to be you. I think, if you know somebody that might be interested in participating in a project, joining the ambassador program is probably one of the best ways to get some skin in the game. So the infographic just outlines, some of the, I guess, responsibilities as well as benefits that, our ambassadors could potentially be exposed to. So apply, for those who are not already, contributing. And we rely on you guys to help spread the good word. So moving on to the first sort of product that we've launched for, I think, more than 10 weeks now. So a little bit more than 2.5 months, which is taiKSM. So obviously, I'm sure many of you are aware, taiKSM currently is live on Karura. And, to refresh your memory, taiKSM is made up of the LKSM and KSM liquidity pool. So what that means is, from a liquidity provider standpoint, you can contribute, proportional or single-sided liquidity to this liquidity pool, and you would get taiKSM in return. So one thing that we've enabled over the last, I think 2 days ago actually, is the live APR. That is something that we've been kind of working on for a little bit because we needed to kind of index the data and also calculate the historical usage for taiKSM. So right now, the APR that you guys are seeing under the collateral staking, under the Earn tab on the Karura platform is actually a true indicator for the taiKSM APR. So right now, fluctuating at around 20% before any additional TAI token incentives. So this 20% ultimately is made up of the underlying yield from LKSM, as well as the fees that are collected from swap transactions as well as redemption transactions. So these two components adding together roughly tallies to 19-20%. And then we are also providing Taiga token as an incentive for this pool. So all in all, you're looking at close to 40% in terms of APR, which is probably one of the higher KSM pool across any type of KSM staking instruments or solutions. So if you haven't tried it yet, definitely give it a try. And starting, basically right now, the yields for TAI token, the emission is actually ongoing on a real-time basis. However, the incentives as well as the fees are actually claimable on a weekly basis. So the first time that you guys would be, not the first time, but you guys would be able to claim the fees accumulated as well as TAI tokens on every Sunday. Okay, so for more information on this pool, definitely visit our Gitbook. We did allocate a substantial amount of Taiga rewards for this pool, totaling up to 2.5 million Taiga tokens across 12 months. So the next slide basically talks about the launch of our Taiga D App. So we actually built this just so that our users can claim the retroactive Taiga usage token. So for those who have participated in any of our previous soft launch or liquidity migration events, you're most likely qualify to earn some degree of TAI tokens. We did implement a relatively complicated criteria to kind of screen out the cyber attackers, because we did notice when we were first starting out the community, we did notice there were quite a number of bots that were entering just to try to get usage and try to get a free airdrop. So we did implement the system so that we can sort of weed out those fake users. For more information on the actual criteria and the airdrop guideline, there's a link that's attached to this slide. We're on slide 5, by the way. And ultimately, this is going to be the page where you guys will come to on a weekly basis to claim the TAI incentives as well as the fees which are collected and distributed in taiKSM. Okay, so on this page there are two sections. The one at the top basically is your retroactive airdrop, and then the one at the bottom is actually your ongoing weekly fees as well as Taiga token emission. One question that came up actually from one of our user was, why do we need to create a separate airdrop page? Why do we need to create a separate D app just so that people can make claims? Why not just implement it directly into the Karura D app? And the answer to that is mainly on how we kind of designed the taiKSM token. So we're actually preparing a tweet for later today just to talk about what's actually different between the taiKSM or the tDOT token versus a regular LP token. And just to share that with you guys a little bit earlier, is that the taiKSM and the tDOT, these are, we call them like synthetic asset tokens. Okay, so what that does is, without needing to actually stake these tokens, users are able to get the rewards, the incentives, the yields automatically. Okay, meaning that this does not require you to restake, that lock up the token. That's one of the biggest difference between our synthetic token versus an LP token. Because for LP tokens, most of the times you're required to restake that into some sort of liquidity pool to lock up those LPs. and then you can unlock the additional rewards. With taiKSM as well as tDOT, you actually don't need to do any of that unless you want to borrow against it to mint AUSD, which the function is not live yet, by the way. So what happens is, whether you're holding, taiKSM or tDOT in your wallet, or whether you are staking them in collateral staking, or you sent it to another wallet address, just sitting idle, you're able to claim, the underlying emission, whether that is TAI token or Tapio token later on down the road, as well as the fees that are accumulated. Okay, so that's why we created this D app, so that our users are not bound to sort of lock up, this token, but at the same time, being able to enjoy those rewards. So I would say this is actually one of the biggest advantage to holding a synthetic versus holding an LP, and that's also what we mean by unlocking usability with a synthetic token. So moving on to our second product that we will be launching shortly on the 13th of June, which is Monday, is 3Pool. So we've been kind of talking about 3Pool, which is made up of AUSD, USDC, as well as USDT for, I think, 2 months now. And the reason why it took so long was mainly because we needed to get the bridge as well as the native minting function enabled. So obviously, AUSD is minted natively on the Akala as well, on the Akala chain. And then we also have USDC, which is being bridged over from Wormhole Portal. And then we also have USDT, which is also natively minted on the State Mine chain. In order to coordinate between these three parties, definitely not an easy and quick task. However, we are proud to announce that this is going live on Monday. Okay, so again, we have a very detailed primer, to explain why 3Pool is important to the ecosystem as a whole. And ultimately, one thing that we're doing right now is we are calling potential liquidity providers to inject liquidity to this pool. So whether you are a retail person or a whale or somebody that has just stable coins sitting around, I would strongly encourage you guys to take a look at 3Pool, mainly because there's a really good subsidy benefit to this pool, which is the 20,000 KSM subsidy from the Kusama Treasury Council. So we are one of the first teams to actually receive, KSM subsidy to bootstrap 3Pool, because obviously these guys understand the importance of having a 3Pool for the ecosystem. And we obviously made the case, to the Kusama Treasury Council, and they were generously willing to, provide the 20,000 KSM to kind of make yield or overall return much more juicier. So what we're doing also at the same time is, since we've received the 20,000 KSM subsidy, we are actually going through a poll, because I presented a few proposals on how to actually spend those 20,000 KSMs, whether we just distribute the 20,000 as is, or we can mint it to LKSM and distribute LKSM, or we can do it 50-50, 50% in LKSM, 50% in taiKSM, etc. So right now we're actually going through a proposal process on the Akala discourse forum. We actually so far, in terms of the stats, last time I looked, I think there were more than 38 votes that came in, and the votes majority was leaning towards the second proposal, which I think is the most compelling one, which is to use the 20,000 KSM, half of it using it to mint LKSM, and the other half using it to mint taiKSM. And the benefit, again, going back to why do we want to mint taiKSM and distribute taiKSM is because taiKSM in itself, has three distinctive sources of yield. It has the underlying LKSM yield, it has the protocol fees, and then it also includes the TAI token rewards. So in our opinion, this is probably one of the most compelling proposal, and we're moving to an on-chain governance submission tomorrow. So proposal 2 is likely to win out. And just to give you guys some rough estimates, for 3 pool, if we're deciding it to split it this way, 50% in LKSM, 50% in taiKSM, the minimum APR for 3 pool is looking at around 7.5, 7.7% APR. And the maximum range is 87% APR. And this is given on this projection was kind of made using a range of $1 million TVL to $52 million TVL for the 3 pool. So definitely something that's very attractive. We're kind of trailblazing the way to ask for these type of support from the Treasury Council. Right now, there are other parachain teams that are trying to do the same thing, but obviously, we're supportive of it, right? Because we do want to make Kusama to be a lively ecosystem where projects can, effectively bootstrap. So moving on to our third product, which is tDOT. Okay, so tDOT is one of the more exciting product that we've kind of been raving about for quite some time now, and also took us some time to build. So for those who are not familiar, the first thing that I would do is go follow our Tapio Twitter, because we're pumping out a lot of educational content just to educate users on what is the benefit of having tDOT versus just holding on to LDOT or LC.dot or just DOT, right? So a few key points. Number one, tDOT, the tDOT liquidity pool enables extremely efficient swap between DOT and LDOT currently, okay? And soon we'll be introducing more liquidity pairings, to mint tDOT. So for example, tDOT can be minted with the DOT against LC.dot pool, or the DOT against V.dot pool, which is on Bifrost. So that's one of the more immediate use case where users are looking to kind of swap in and out between their LDOT positions or their liquid crowd loan positions back into regular DOT. So that's how we're kind of enabling that with the tDOT pool. The second benefit of tDOT is very competitive yield, again, relative to market standard as a whole. Okay, so because tDOT is also made up of a few components. Number one, obviously, is the underlying yield from LDOT, and then the second is the protocol fees. Okay, so the swap fees as well as the redemption fees, and then the third one, which has not been activated yet, is the Tapio token rewards. Okay, so we won't be launching the Tapio tokens anytime soon, because right now the yield in itself is actually very competitive, and we want to set up a series of community events before we actually launch the Tapio token, and potentially considering doing a public sale. So it's definitely the yield part is definitely competitive relative to overall market standard. And then the third point is very composable across parachains that have XCM enabled. That's the way that we want to leverage tDOT to help break apart the liquidity silos. So and reduce liquidity fragmentation. So one thing that we're doing in the background is also working with other parachain teams, helping them understand the value proposition of tDOT, why it's important to deploy the tDOT module on their parachains to kind of aggregate liquidity. And sooner you guys will start to see our collaboration with other parachains outside of Kala. So that's also one of the bigger benefits to having tDOT. And then finally it's a natural swap mechanism for tDOT, because ultimately if you're using if the tDOT pool on a different parachain is made up of dot 1 and dot 2, and then the tDOT pool on Akala is made up of dot 1 and dot 3. When you're actually making the tDOT sort of transfer, ultimately you're swapping between dot 2 and dot 3. So that's a very natural and secure way of doing sort of cross parachain transfer. And we have that mechanism kind of baked in with our liquidity pool. So we have a full article explaining, again, the benefits, the versatility of tDOT. And right now for tDOT, we are going through a soft launch period. Okay, so I'm not going to say too much about, the purpose of soft launch. The purpose of a soft launch, I guess, is to reward our early supporters. Okay, so if you guys kind of participated in the taiKSM soft launch, then you guys know, what are the benefits. So don't want to spill too much. If you guys are here, then I'm sure you guys understand. So definitely do go ahead and support, our tDOT soft launch that's currently live on Akala. A few things that you can actually do, right? Like, if you don't have a whole bunch of DOT liquidity, I would recommend you guys to, perform a few swap transactions, maybe, just in between DOT and LDOT, just to experience, the low slippage as well as high efficiency. If you guys have DOT, then, consider minting tDOT with DOT or LDOT. And one thing that we're also working on is making tDOT a collateral to mint AUSD. So on a similar schedule, not similar schedule, but this is also something that we're trying to do, with taiKSM. The process is taking much longer than we expected because we have the Gauntlet team involved, and they're actually very meticulous about the way that we're setting the risk parameters. But that's good, right? Having a strict having an oversight around how to set risk parameters as well as collateral factors and liquidation ratios is always something better than just launching something that's not validated or proven. So I ask for your patience to wait for this function to go live. But we're hopeful. We're hopeful to make tDOT as well as taiKSM both an asset that could be used as collateral to mint AUSD. So far, all of the numbers or statistics for these new features are actually trackable on the dashboard that we built using Grafana. So there's a link to page 10 of the slides. If you guys are interested, then definitely go check out some of these numbers, and I'm sure you guys would be surprised. So far for the tDOT pool, it's been just a little bit under 48 hours that we've launched. So 2 days ago, we were at around 52,000 tDOT minted. Not a shabby number, to be completely honest, because we haven't reached out to the large liquidity providers yet. So definitely, do take benefit of that if you haven't contributed, DOT liquidity to our tDOT pool. That's all I wanted to kind of cover for today. As a quick summary, we kind of talked about the taiKSM pool. We talked about 3 pool, both are which on Karura. 3 pool will be launching on Monday. It's a stablecoin pool, so if you guys have idle stablecoin lying around, definitely do give that a try. And then we also have tDOT, which is launched on Akala, and we will be introducing new community events and new and programs just to bootstrap, the Tapio brand, because we haven't really made a big splash yet in terms of the reveal. You guys are here and you guys are aware of it because you guys are early supporters. So once again, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for following us, and we thank you for participating in these early features and early products. So let me just switch it over to chat to see whether there's any questions. Okay, so there's quite a bunch. Okay, so the first one is, I guess it's more of a complaint, but I will address that. So Ivan Marsalek, what kind of crazy dishonest distribution of reward? Those who put $2 and $10,000 into the pool got the same rewards. Is that fair? And how to support you after such an attitude towards the community? I just lost money thanks to the exchange rate that was leaked. Not sure. Not sure how the $2 and $10,000 was able to generate the same. We do have a pretty stringent criteria in terms of how to validate the actual usage. So Ivan, if you're listening, send me exactly or actually just send me your address, and then I could take a look for you to see what went on there. But no, I don't believe that's a valid statement. I don't believe that's a valid case because we kind of tracked usage, based on the value that was contributed, the time horizon, as well as a bunch of other key metrics. So that situation should not have occurred. And then iFlash, I agree with the unfair distribution. My share in taiKSM reached about 5,000. In the beginning, the share was 10-12% of the pool, but due to loss of KSM and Thai exchange, I received huge drawdown and received the same rewards that everyone held $10-20 in the pool. Although it was agreed that volume would matter, I understood the risk. I'm trying to make this large volume. Okay, got it. All right, so the Thai and taiKSM pool has impermanent loss. I think that was actually made pretty explicit. Again, iFlash, send me your address. I'm gonna take a look for you personally to see sort of what went wrong. But yeah, I think if the claim is saying you put in X amount that's a few magnitudes larger than another address that's put in like a much smaller amount, and getting the same reward, I disagree. I disagree with that. That should not be a valid statement. But do send me your address. We will take a look for you. All right. Next question, Dao or Dudao. How will the USDT for 3 pool work? Is it supposed to be state mined asset? If so, how will this be bridged over, issued, or is it for short term to use wormhole? Okay, that was the first question. So USDT will be minted natively on StateMine. We actually have a guide prepared for that. So I would recommend you to look into our guide. There's actually 2 ways to do it. One is do it via Bitfinex exchange, where when you withdraw USDT, you can actually select the Kusama version, and then it's automatically minted in StateMine version. And then the other way is actually to do it via the Karura platform. So either way, you can actually get USDT in StateMine version. How do we bridge AUSD or other stables XC20s from other parachains? So this function is actually available. Okay, so for AUSD, you can actually mint against any of your collateral types, or you can just sell some assets into AUSD, and that can be done on Akala. In order for you to bridge assets over onto Akala, there's actually a native bridge function that the Akala team has built. So you guys can use that. For Moonbeam, I believe Moonbeam and Moonriver, I think they are both enabled. Just let me double check really quickly. 1 second. So Moonbeam. So Moonbeam right now is they have a native bridge function for Moonbeam, so that's how you kind of convert the XC20 assets. And then let's see, I think for Karura, there's for Karura is Moon River. Okay, so that's how you can kind of bridge XC20 assets over via the native bridge function on Akala and Karura. Okay, and then will you guys be working auto compounding for staked KSM or tDOT? Short answer is right now, no. Any timeline for other KSM and DOT derivatives, or how you would see working with unifying them? Great question. So we're actually expanding onto other derivative assets. So starting with like KSM, so we'll be working with another parachain team, which we will announce later on. But basically, this parachain has also introduced their own version of staking KSM. So we'll be incorporating that, basically creating a KSM and staking KSM pool on their parachain. And then basically that will roll up to taiKSM as well. So that's one of the efforts that we're trying to make right now throughout the ecosystem with parachains that sort of have introduced their staking or crowdloan derivatives. That's the way that we're unifying different formats of staking and crowdloan derivatives liquidity. iFlash, welcome back. Is there an airdrop plan for Tapio soft launch? I'll leave you to think about that one. Like I don't want to say too much, but do try to participate in the soft launch. You kind of saw what happened with the Taiga soft launch. So yeah. Okay, Dodo again. Will 3 pool eventually come to Akala? Our aspiration is yes, definitely. It was kind of like a testing ground for us to deploy on Karura first, mainly because Wormhole wanted to integrate into Karura first. However, obviously timing wise, it kind of took longer than we expected. So the plan is definitely to have it on Akala as well, and we sort of foresee the magnitude to be significantly bigger in terms of volume on Akala. Okay, iFlash, welcome back. After the implementation of Taiga on Karura and Tapio on Akala, which parachains will be first to be considered for implementing the protocol? Great question. Again, I'm not going to name the actual parachains, but there's only a handful right now that have introduced their own version of staking as well as crowdloan derivatives. So it's one of those. Ashik from Polkadot. Hi, my questions are on the new tDOT LDOT pool. Now there's much more LDOT in the mix. Could you please explain what implications are? I read that this would over-collateralize tDOT. Could you put that in simple words? Also, what would happen if there were even more LDOT in the pool, or what would happen if there were more DOT? Is there an impact on our yield or anything else? Great question, Pashik. So right now, I was looking, the proportion in tDOT is roughly, I think 55-45. So 55% LDOT, 45% DOT, a pretty healthy balance. But we're hoping, the proportion could kind of get into the 60-40 or even like 70-30 range, being heavier on the LDOT side. And one of the main reasons is because, with a heavier component or composition made up of LDOT, that also means that we could retain more underlying staking yield. So that would make the tDOT overall have a higher APR. So that's the benefits of having more LDOT relative to DOT. To your second question, if there's if it's very lopsided, to let's say to the DOT side, then obviously yield would come down. But that's also where we would adjust the amplification coefficient, where we can adjust the slippage parameters, right? So then it actually encourages people to put in LDOT, so then the trade is actually more favorable for some of these guys. and it actually opens up, you know, potential arbitrage opportunities for traders to come in to kind of rebalance the pool. So that's the mechanism that we've implemented to keep the pool balanced. So mainly through the amplification coefficient setting. I read that this would over clarity. Yes, that's absolutely correct. So the more LDOT that we have, that would, you know, over collateralize, you know, the pool as a whole. So this kind of just address the question of, you know, under collateralization of tDOT, because this is actually very simple, right? So the pool is made up of DOT and LDOT. So LDOT is worth more than one dot, and then we have, you know, dot on the other side, which is like 1-to-1. So if the pool has, let's say, you know, the same amounts of, okay, put it this way: if the pool has 100% dot, then tDOT is fully collateralized, okay, at 1-to-1. But if, let's say, the pool has some proportion of LDOT, because LDOT is worth more than one dot, so that means overall the pool value is over collateralized. So your understanding is correct. I'm not sure if that was simple enough, but, you know, just going back to, you know, the logic is, you know, LDOT is worth more than one dot. So in terms of value, if the pool has any LDOT in it, the overall value of the pool is greater than, you know, just dot itself. So that means it's over collateralized. Okay. Yeah, so I think I addressed your last question as well. Like if there's like more LDOT, then, you know, higher yield. If there's more dot, lower yield. But then obviously we would use the amplification coefficient to kind of address that. Great question, by the way. Christina, are there any plans to enter the stock exchange? Skip. Dex. Question: when TAP will be on a call claim? Soon. Okay, so right now we're actually not, as I mentioned, we're not giving out Tapio tokens yet. We want to run a few community events before we launch the TAP token. So not anytime soon, but you'll be sure to be notified once we run that. Third. Any timeline for taiKSM to show up on the Karura portfolio page again? Or will that happen when it can be used as collateral to mint AUSD? Let me double check. 1 second. I'm just double checking the Karura page, because my understanding is taiKSM is actually listed. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so taiKSM is actually on the portfolio page on Karura. So we are actually, yeah, it's actually on. I guess because my stake, that's why it doesn't show up. Yeah, that's correct. And when it's staked, actually, you should be able to find it in the earn section. Yeah, check if it's staked. If your taiKSM is staked, then you should be able to find it in the portfolio page under the earn section. Okay. Great. All right, so anybody from the audience that has any more questions, you can raise your hand or you can drop it in the AMA chat. Okay, Dex, welcome back. After the future tDOT staking, you can still use a column mint AUSD and then put. Yes, correct. Absolutely. However, I do need to manage your expectations a little bit because in order for you to collateralize against tDOT, that's going to take a little bit of time. We've been on calls with the Gauntlet team for several weeks, and progress is kind of slow, to be completely honest. They are very meticulous around the risk parameters that we need to sort of design for taiKSM as well as tDOT. So I personally would not be completely hopeful for this feature to launch in the next 2 weeks. But if you do wish to partake in 3-pool, which I think you should because incentive-wise is actually very attractive. Just from an APR standpoint, you should get some stable coins, whether it's from other networks or I don't know whether you have something lying around. Should definitely try to participate in that. But then the logic is correct. Your understanding is correct. You could stake it and then collateralize against it, mint AUSD, and then bring it over to Karura to participate in 3-pool. All right. Anything else? Let me see if anybody's raising their hand. So one thing that we're looking to make a switch up on the format is to use sort of like I don't think it's called stage, but in Discord, I think there's a function where we could actually, you guys can actually see my face. I think that could increase engagement a little bit better. So we're gonna try to switch up to that format, but let us work on that a little bit. But if there's no more questions, then gonna wrap it up for this for today. So again, big shout out to our ambassadors who've been really the rock behind growing our community. I think we're gonna hit that inflection point soon. But you guys are tuning in. You guys are definitely early, and you guys are our supporters. So we really appreciate that. So I'll chat with you guys in 2 weeks. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening wherever you are. Bye now.